corner of the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get. Don't you ever talk about me.
Who was talking about you?
Crabtree, don't you open your mouth about the best, or I'm going to shut it for you real quick.
The rant heard around the world. Seattle Seahawks cornerback Richard Sherman's post-game outburst. And just a short time ago, Sherman going back in front of the cameras, but this time he is apologizing, sort of.
We're talking about football here, and a lot of people took it a little further than football. And I guess some people showed how far we've really come in this day and age. And it was kind of profound, kind of what happened, and people's opinions and things of that nature, because I was on a football field, showing passion. Maybe it was misdirected. Maybe, things may have been immature. Things could have been worded better. But this is on a football field. I wasn't committing any crimes, doing anything illegal. I was showing passion after a football game. I didn't have time to sit there and contemplate, what am I going to say? But the people behind computer screens that are typing had all the time in the world to contemplate everything they're going to say and articulate it exactly like they wanted to.
Former NFL player, Cowboys, Giants, four-time All-Pro Everson Walls joins us. Nice to see you.
How you doing, Greta?
I'm very well. So what's your thought on this whole Richard Sherman, his post-game and his comment today?
I thought it was actually very entertaining, especially after the game. One thing I have to say about Richard, he's probably of the same ilk that I am. He grew up watching a lot of trash-talking athletes that really proved all the bragging that they had put out there. And he's probably seen the Muhammad Ali tapes. He's probably even seen the Hollywood Henderson tapes coming up to Super Bowls against Pittsburgh, talking about Bradshaw. It's just trash-talking. And that's really what we do in sports. And he's a young man that I think has been disrespected and really discounted probably throughout his entire early life in sports. And this was his moment to really show the world just how good he was. And I've kind of been through that myself. Coming from the Cowboys, I was cut by the Cowboys, went to the Giants. I won that Super Bowl in 1990 with my teammates. And I remember after the game, I felt such vindication that I think if someone would have stuck a mic in front of my face at that time, I probably would have done the same thing, because at that time after the game, you're so emotionally raw about the entire situation that sometimes you just can't control yourself.
What's the relationship on the field between the cornerback and the opponent, the wide receiver? I mean, you're chasing them all day, all the game. What's the relationship like? What are you saying to them?
I guess it depends on the rivalry. It depends on how many times you see that receiver time in and time out. I happen to be one of those guys that thought I was somewhat of a quiet assassin. I let my work do my talking because I was always underrated. And I just like to look in the wide receiver's face when they just realized how good I was, and that no matter how many times you came at me, I was going to still be here. And my intent was to be successful. And I'm sure that's most defensive backs' mentality. As DBs, we are never given the benefit of the doubt. We're almost like that 11th chess piece out there, that 11th man no one ever really thinks about. And when you do make the plays, it's such vindication, and not just to knock the ball down.
I have a hard time, understanding it, because to me, you're a four-time All-Pro, four-time Pro Bowler. I mean, it's hard for me to think that, like you said, you think you're underestimated. I mean, the rest of us are looking at you thinking, like, wow. It's like, so I don't get that.
I'll tell you what. I'll put it like this. Compare me to a quarterback. You have to be great to be a defensive back to be noticed. For a quarterback, you just have to be average. And that's always been my thought about the process. They always get the benefit of the doubt. When it comes to the marketing game, they're always the ones that are picked the first time out. And I'm sure Richard Sherman understands that this is a market-driven society, especially in the NFL. And if you keep your mouth closed, you won't get fed. And Richard Sherman understands that. Now, he may be a little bit inappropriate at times, but it did get him some commercials and endorsements. And guess who's going to be following him around throughout the entire 2 weeks before the Super Bowl? All the media and all the corporations that thinks he might be able to make him a little bit more money.
Okay, I'm not going to ask you who's your team, but I'm curious, sort of stepping back and looking at it, what's the score going to be between the Broncos and the Seattle? Not who do you like, but what do you think is going to be? We're looking at the matchup.
You know, when looking at the matchup, looking at the defense that Seattle plays, I really enjoy watching them play. And even Denver's defense stepped up a little bit. I think it's going to be a relatively low-scoring game. Maybe even, I don't think the score is going to even get into the 30s. You're looking at a 24-20 game, 24-28, something of that nature.
And who's got the 24 and who's got the 20?
Well, I happen to be pulling a little bit for the underdog, so I like Russell Wilson. I like Sherman. I like his game. I think it's a lot like my game was, so I'm looking for the upset. I don't want to hear anything else about Peyton Manning and how great he is. It's getting boring.
All right. Well, I love Peyton Manning, and I love that Russell Wilson went to the University of Wisconsin. So, for me, it's a tough one. Anyway,
who you got? Who you got? You got to pick a side.
Right now, I don't know who's going to win. But anyway, Everson, thank you very much for joining us.